The nights are long, the days are short, and the weather is chilly to downright cold, depending on where you are. It's a good time to slip into a Quince iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at only $50. You can treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price with Quince. If you really want to dive into luxury, you can check out their leather handbags, washable silk shirts, and European linen sheet sets. Whatever you're looking for at Quince, all the prices are 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and they do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the middleman. They only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing processes. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. But you've already heard me rave about my Quince travel pants. Treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/traveler for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/traveler to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/traveler. And thanks to Quince for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Amateur Traveler, episode 896. Today, the Amateur Traveler talks about sand dunes and art spaces, mountains and musicians, carpets, Casbahs, and camels as we go to Southern Morocco. This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler. Let's talk about Southern Morocco. I'd like to welcome Adi to the show, a traveling music producer from Germany, from hittheroadmusicstudio.com, but he has not come to talk to us about Germany, but about Southern Morocco. Adi, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And this is one where we have to describe what your connection is with Southern Morocco, because you are not Moroccan, but why are we talking about Morocco?
I'm not yet a Moroccan, probably. We spent almost 2 years between 2019 to 2021 with a mobile recording studio. So our van was a mobile record studio, and we spent almost 2 years in Morocco recording over 120 songs with local artists to provide support and share the culture. So we were very lucky, and I'm very grateful that we could experience this culture through the power of music, because the music really carries the roots and the DNA of a culture and really authentically connected us with the people there. So we lived there over 2 years and fly at least twice per year there to do more work and visit our friends, our now family there, live together, eat together, and just hang out and have a good time.
Excellent. Why should someone go to Southern Morocco?
Southern Morocco is magical. In general, Morocco offers every climate and so many different places. From the mountains, you can go snowboarding, or the Sahara deserts where you can walk through the dunes, or the ocean where you can surf. But Southern Morocco, at first, the buildings, everything just looks different. People are very friendly. It feels like time is standing still there. And there are so many attractions, so many things that you can do. It's a very magical place. I always say after my first visit in the desert that I could hear the silence. And this really changed my life.
We did a trip with listeners of the show to Southern Morocco pre-pandemic. I don't even remember the year off the top of my head. And my wife came with me, and she even got sick halfway through. So you'd think this would be one of the trips that, she does not remember fondly. She said it was the best trip we'd ever done, ever. And in part because she couldn't tell from day to day what century we were in. So it's similar to what you're saying, is you'd go to, I won't give away some of the interesting places. I'll let you do that. What itinerary are you going to recommend for us?
So for a 7 or 10 day trip, let's say you start in Marrakesh. The first thing to get there, you will have to cross the Atlas Mountains. This will be 1 day max. Either you just arrive in Marrakesh, stay a night there, discover a little bit of the busy city, because there are many small cities. Marrakesh is one of the busier one, of the bigger one. And get a little bit of this, have some good food, maybe some mix of European cuisine and Moroccan cuisine, some fusions. And then the next day, travel over the Atlas Mountains towards the city of Ouarzazate.
Okay.
This can be a very magnificent place. There is Ouarzazate and Ait Ben Haidou, which is very known for the movie making. For
Right.
example, last year when we just arrived there, they just built down the set for Gladiator 2.
Okay.
So
and they had done Gladiator there as well. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Gladiator, Star Wars. You have a film museum there in Ouarzazate. But I like to stay outside of Ouarzazate in Ait Ben Haidou and some of the smaller hotels that are around. For example, Auberge Ayouz, that is hopefully back now, back in business after the earthquake. So when we went there,
right.
it got a little bit damaged. But Idris is one of the kindest people that I know in my life and an incredible cook. So he's one of the seldom people who is also using the Moroccan spices in his food.
Okay. And that's in Ait Ben Haidou?
Exactly. It's very close from Ait Ben Haidou. When you just drive after Ait Ben Haidou 3 more kilometers, Auberge Ayouz, excellent place to sleep, excellent cuisine. We recorded there 2 music videos, I remember, and just got hosted there for a week, and it was truly magical.
Now, you mentioned Ait Ben Haidou, and we haven't tried to describe it yet, and that's a little bit of a challenge. How would you describe for people who are listening to this show and not necessarily looking at a picture of Ait Ben Haidou, what this city looks like?
Wow, the city is magical. So if you have never seen, this is really traveling through time, because you have the clay houses there. It's like a hill, and around the hill, you have all these ancient buildings, and inside you...
And they're not actually that ancient. They just look ancient. I think it's actually from the 1800s.
Exactly.
But it looks like, to me, Timbuktu. All of these Kasbahs and just amazing city. And when you see it, you'll understand why people film things there, especially that are supposed to be way back in time. But a city built to protect the salt trade in the area.
Exactly. It's really magical. And what is so magnificent about it, it's so silent when you go inside.
Yeah, very few people live inside the old city anymore. When you get a choice between living in the mud buildings and living outside in the modern ones, I guess a lot of people choose the modern ones. I can understand that, but
definitely,
I would say of all the places I've been, it is one of my favorite places. Amazing city.
This is a must see when you're in Morocco. And actually, when you see pictures of Morocco, when you just Google Morocco, this will be one of the first pictures that you will find. It's on every postcard, and it has its reason. And this is really, during our 2 years travel, we never made it inside Ait Ben Haidou. I have no clue why, but we went for the first time last year, and it was mind-blowing. I just don't want it to leave, because you can walk slowly upstairs. Of course, you have this magnificent jewelry shops there, and older artifacts that you can buy, from old carpets to tools.
Sure. To artwork that's being done by artisans right there. Yeah.
Exactly. There is so much art. There is so much art there.
And I had to try what you said. I Googled images of Morocco, and I got 3 places, 2 of which we may come up in this week's show. Ait Ben Haidou, Essaouira, and then the other one we're not going to be talking about today because it's in the north, but I'm going to be taking a group of listeners there or they're taking me or something on Thursday, and that's Chefchaouen. So you're right. It did feature prominently in terms of pictures of Morocco.
Definitely. It's magnificent. And so when you like to stay there, there is one hot tip that I can give you.
Yeah.
And this is a self-built community center that is probably 5 kilometers away from Ait Ben Haidou.
Okay.
And the place is called Taman Art Space. It has been founded by the local visual artist Aissa Jout, who is traveling the world with his paintings.
Okay.
During the pandemic, he was dreaming about moving back to his village where he grew up, because it's empty now. There is no more farming going on. There are no possibilities to make a living. So the buildings are empty, and he renovated them. So the first building is done now with 4 excellent rooms that can be bought via Airbnb. And they
Mhm.
have a kitchen up there, a cafe. It's just important to write them in advance. So if you want to see the place, there is an art gallery inside. There,
Hmm.
it's magnificent. It's really magnificent. You would just have to write them in advance. And you can find the video about the place. It's a 1 minute presentation video, how they play concerts there and many other things on YouTube. Taman Art Space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I also host people with Airbnb, but don't expect anything like this. I feel overawed here, but okay.
Yeah, usually I thought also like Airbnb, usually I don't recommend like Airbnbs
Mm.
because when we were traveling, we met people, we could stay somewhere.
Yeah.
But this place, it has been created by artists.
Mhm.
And the main idea is to build an artistic village there to bring people together. And as a matter of fact, we're going to start a music production school there in November 2024. So
Interesting.
I'm going to teach the kids how to make music, how to produce music, and share the knowledge.
Excellent.
And yeah, so
Anything
definitely.
else we should do in Ait Ben Haddou or at Ouarzazate was the other city you mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. So Ait Ben Haidou, you have, for example, they are making the traditional carpets there. There is a
Okay.
women association that you can support directly.
Hmm.
If you want to buy a carpet, it's always great to buy it directly from the people who make it.
Yep.
So you can check out for the association. Simply, you can ask around people there. They will show you what you can find. So when you just ask for the association, for the carpets, women association, they will directly bring you there. Because when I give you now, even Google Maps is failing on Ait Ben Haidou. This is the only thing. Because it's just small romantic passages and need to be updated a little bit on this. But in general, people are very friendly and you can just ask them. There is one tip that I want to give you in Ait Ben Haidou. So
Mhm.
there are 2 main entrances.
Right.
One is over the bridge, and you just walk over the bridge, and that's it. And the other one, it would go behind the parking. There are a couple of signs, but there will be a family asking you for entrance. It's not much. They ask you for €2 entrance or €3 entrance, but in general, you don't have to pay when you go inside there. Just to keep it in mind.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ouarzazate is very close from there, around 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers. The bigger city. Again, a magnificent city. It looks more modern compared to Ait Ben Haidou. But this is like the gate to the desert region, to the south of Morocco, to the culture. The buildings look very modern. For me, it was mind blowing. I always remember this moment when we just entered there after the Atlas Mountains.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe it. It felt like a dream to walk there. So you have an old kasbah there. And what means kasbah? Kasbah is like, you can compare it to the old town. Let's say you're in Germany, you're in Cologne, and then Cologne have the new town, the big city with modern buildings, and the old town. So the Kasbah would be the old part of or wherever
Mhm.
you are. So this is definitely a magnificent place to visit, the Kasbah, to walk there. Though there you have to pay entrance because this place get always renovated, restored. It's built out of clay. So when there is rain, it needs repair afterwards. So this entrance money, which is I forgot how much it is, but it's fairly inexpensive.
Okay. And you mentioned getting there through the high Atlas Mountains, and again talking about contrasts. So you're talking about. I'm trying to remember what time of year we were there, but there was still snow on the peaks and apple orchards and very green and lush.
Mhm.
So quite different from when you get over the other side and you're now down heading towards the Sahara.
Exactly. Exactly. The higher you go, you start
Yep.
freezing. I started to pack out my winter jacket again. And
Exactly.
2 hours later, it's hot. I took off the winter jacket, took off the long pants, put the short pants on, short shirt, and back in hot summer. And this is a contrast. Also, what I love to see in Morocco is how the colors change
Mm,
because the clay that the houses are made of, it's specific to every region. So when you drive through the Atlas region, the
sure.
houses are more dark red, while Ouarzazate, it started to be more brown and more muddy in this sense. It's pretty interesting to notice these small changes.
And when you say Ouarzazate, this is going to be tough for people to look up because it starts with an O.
Yeah.
Is and I'll put a link to it in the show notes so you know what we're talking about here. But that one I was having trouble finding.
Yeah, and so I would love to. You have also the film museum there on the opposite of the Kasbah.
Okay.
So you find artifacts from the Star Wars movies and other movies that had been made there.
Okay.
I would recommend you a tourist guide through it. And for all the Star Wars fans, there are tours who bring you to the original set of the first 3 Star Wars movies, which are usually episode 4, 5, and 6. So
Okay.
the first ones. So you can make a small Star Wars tour there.
Okay.
Definitely. And for accommodation, there are 2 places that I can recommend you. One is a very quiet place where you have your own little house. And this would be Eco Lodge. I can send you the link later if you like.
Please.
It's a little bit more difficult to find, the Eco Lodge, because you drive Dirt Street, passing many houses there. It looks like a fortress when you go there. And there is a big gate that opens, and there you have, again, magnificent food, really good cuisine, great kitchen. You have a pool there, privacy, it's quiet. It's very quiet there. We slept a couple of nights there, and it was dark and quiet. No lights, no sound, and you have a magnificent view on the Atlas Mountains while swimming in the pool or just resting in the garden.
Okay.
Ah, bon chien. Bonjour, je suis Theo, a tour leader with Explore. And this is Punti. He's helping us find truffles under the trees next to this beautiful vineyard. Maybe for tomorrow's cooking class? Oui, col... C'est million heure. Parfait. C'est million o'clock. Not everyone gets to enjoy a Bordeaux sunset this way, but you will if you explore. No, Punti. Search exploreworldwide.com and don't just travel. Explore.
Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports app today and use code FIELD and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code FIELD on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
This would be one place, and the second would be called Dar Shamra. And we found this place. We recorded a live show for the occasion of Ramadan in Dar Shamra with the band Tarwa and Tiniri. And it was mind-blowing to go there. It was like a palace made of sand. Many rooms there. Again, excellent cuisine. It was one of the best tagines that I ever had. The tagine is the local food in Morocco, what they are mainly known for. And we met the owner as well. Very kind person, very calm. And this is what I love about the region in general, that it starts to be more calm, less hectical than Marrakesh. This is why it always attracted us to go to the south.
Okay. And when you say it, tagine, I think a lot of people know what you're talking about, but we're talking about a dish that's named after the terracotta pot that it's cooked in, the conical pot, and it's some mixture of lentils and meat or something similar like that with Moroccan spices, and it is ubiquitous.
It is gorgeous, and there are like million variations of how you can eat it, what's inside. One tip, because, for example, I don't eat meat for 10 years or so.
Okay.
So when I was ordering a tagine without meat, sometimes I had chicken in it. So if you really want a vegetarian tagine, and I don't blame them.
Texas version of vegetarian.
The Texas version. I like that. Yeah,
Actually, I kid, but I have a friend who went to one of the very first internet conferences, and it was in Texas, and the vegetarian entree was chicken.
But I know now where it comes from, because there are many vegetarians who then break the rule. They say, okay, it can be with chicken. I'm a vegetarian, but it can be with chicken.
I'm not familiar with that. Fish, I've run into pescatarians, but
Yeah.
not chickatarians or whatever the term would be for that. I am ignorant of this.
I think chickatarians is very accurate here. And because of that, because it's not part of the culture to don't eat meat,
Yeah.
because the meat there is fresh and they don't overeat. Meat is very expensive. So usually when you have a tagine, there is a little bit of meat that will be fairly distributed. I learned a lot there.
And usually we'd be talking about beef or lamb, not pork,
No
obviously.
Pork there. Yeah. And for every tagine, they choose one chief because the tagine will be eaten together with bread. So you eat
bread
with your hands.
Bread is the first thing you get. Our tour guide would get up every morning and go buy fresh baked local bread. Yeah.
The whole country is running on bread.
Yeah.
It's
and
no
good
joke.
Bread. Flat
very
bread.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it very much. So this is how you eat it in general. So many of these places, they know already this is not normal in Europe. So they will give you also a fork and the knife aside. But in general, you eat it all together. And there is one chief who is giving the meat to everybody. Everybody gets his fair portion, his fair share.
Okay. So if you went to someone's house and you had a tagine, that's how it would really be done.
Exactly.
Interesting.
There are 20 pieces of bread, fresh, and heated up, one big tagine, and everybody's just eating together, which is great. I love it. Sometimes I'm missing this.
Excellent. Anything else we wanted to say about Ouarzazate?
I think that's it. This would be a perfect rest. Either Ait Ben Haidou, the places I recommended, or Ouarzazate. But definitely take a rest after the drive when you go from Marrakesh over the Atlas Mountains.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Where to next?
Next, it would go down towards the Dara Valley. And this is where the magic really starts. So let's say you stay one day in Ouarzazate, the next day you can visit a little bit after a good sleep and a great breakfast. You will see that you go deeper and deeper into the desert. At first it starts with a stone desert where you're driving through, and there will be a couple of mountains that you have to pass. And the next bigger city would be Aktas. Once you're driving, just enjoy the views. No hurry, there is so much space. This is always what I love, being there. And I would recommend you to make the next break in Aktas. Ouarzazate to Aktas is always a good spot.
And for my benefit, how do you spell Aktas?
Okay, Aktas is Agdz. Agdz.
Okay. All right. I was seeing it on the map and I thought that might be what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So Aktas is a small city. What was important for me when we arrived in Ouarzazate or in these bigger cities that look bigger on the map, it doesn't mean that it's full with people. It's very calm. Expect that there is not much going on except on the market. And then Aktas is a fabulous market. I think it's every day where you can either buy fresh food, fresh spices, nuts, or local herbs from the Amazigh people, also known as the Berber people. They have their own shops with all the healthy stuff that you need, either with oils, with creams, with toothbrushes, Moroccan toothbrushes that are literally just a stick that you are biting on. And you will really get an idea about the life, what's going on there. For me, I felt for a while like in a movie. I have never seen this before. I have never experienced it before. And it was just lovely. I was fascinated by all the fabrics, all the colors, shoes. This is what you can find in Aktas, for example, on the market.
And I'm seeing the market is on Thursdays, but I don't know if that has changed. But I know that in a lot of places in the region, it's a weekly market. So that's why I was looking it up. So
this is great. Yeah. Every region, especially in this area, they have one main market day.
Yep.
And this is when all the people gather and buy bags full with tomatoes, with potatoes.
Sure, and get your mule shoed and your dental work done and all of that at the weekly market. It's a fascinating experience.
Absolutely. I love this market. And there was a place where we slept overnight. And this is open for caravans, and at the same time also they have private rooms. Rose du Sable. You write it like Rose, Dusable.
Okay.
And if you see the pictures, this is one of the local jokes. It looks like a tagine, so they call it's by the Tagine mountain because it's built in the same way. There you have excellent rooms. There you find a couple of French owners, people who are French, who are living in Morocco for 10, 20 years. And there is one owner who was living with the Tuaregs in Mali for almost 10 years. And she could give us more tips, more informations about it. So alone just sitting there and talking with the owner will give you many information, many stories. It's way better than watching TV or watching a serial or anything, because there will be a lot of wisdom from the desert, from the nomads. So this is absolutely a great place to stay if you want to make a slow trip.
Okay.
You would have one day in Marrakesh, one day Ouarzazate, one day in Akdas.
We should just say that when you say a slow trip, I'm not going to have to spend a lot of time in the car on this route that you're laying out. This is what, half hour in the car between some of these places?
Yeah.
The drive from Marrakesh a little further, but
yeah, the drive from Marrakesh over the Atlas Mountain can take up to 3 hours if you drive safely. But Ouarzazate Akdas might be an hour drive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and I think this is what you covered in another episode about South Morocco, you can just head straight to Zagora. And Zagora is the municipality. They have all the administration stuff there, the buildings. If anybody have to do something, it would be like the biggest city in this region. Which doesn't mean, again, that it's busy. You can barely see people, especially during the day on the streets. The life usually starts at night, especially now. I think now is still the Ramadan season. So when you're during the Ramadan season there, you will barely see people during the day.
And Ramadan is a little tricky because depending on how late, if you're listening to the show when it comes out, then this is the season of Ramadan, and we're recording this April 7th. But Ramadan moves a lot.
Yeah.
We had a Turkish exchange student live with us years ago, and Ramadan, as I recall, was in fall. So it moves quite a lot.
Definitely. I was always confused when we were there. I went so often there and, is it now Ramadan? Yeah, but when Ramadan season is, you will definitely notice. Let's say like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't necessarily recommend Ramadan as a chance for just a casual tourist who is just looking to see the sights and not interact with the people. Mm-hmm. Because people are just a little more grumpy during the day. If you're interacting with the people more and you can get invited to the meal in the evening or something, then I think it could be more interesting. But if you're just there for the sights, I would say probably go another time. I don't know what your feeling on that is.
No, definitely. I would be also grumpy if I wouldn't eat the whole day or drink water.
Exactly.
when it's so hot. In general, the energy is dropping during the day. On the other hand, of course, for a casual traveler to visit this place, definitely avoid Ramadan because you will not get the full experience.
Right.
What I liked about Ramadan were the evenings when people started to party and get their life again. 1 hour before the sun sets, you can feel already a special energy, special vibe there.
Right.
The smells out of the kitchen and everybody's just waiting. It's very special. But as a casual traveler, definitely don't go during Ramadan there.
And the one thing I remember about Zagora is the big sign, 52 days by camel to Timbuktu. So you're at the northern end of the old trade route with Timbuktu. Apparently only 6 days by Jeep if you want to go down to Timbuktu, although that's not necessarily a place that has been safe to go in recent years, but which is a shame because I'd love to get there. But
definitely. It was also big on my list, and we were just planning a trip to West Africa, but at the moment, it's not possible to go through Mali or via Mali. Yeah. But as you said, this is where it starts with the paintings. This is definitely beautiful there. And the road from Akdes or Ouarzazate to Zagora via these palm farms is just magnificent. You will see it's really traveling through time. And there is one space, if you don't want to stop in Akdas when this is too short for you, I can recommend you one beautiful place and one kasbah that you can visit. It's like an old castle. This would be in the city in Ulat Otman. and you write it Ouled Otmane. And there is
Okay.
something called Écologe du Drap. Écologe du Drap. Incredible food. You will not notice this place when you just drive this long street. It's just one street going straight forward. So you wouldn't notice this place when driving there.
Mm-hmm.
But during the times when we were there weren't much tourists. So they saw our car. They drove behind us. And until we made the stop, 20 minutes later, they said, please be our guest. I'm a musician. I'm super bored at the moment because nobody's coming here. Please stay with us. And we stayed with them for 7 days because we had time also. If you go to this place, it's a magnificent garden inside. The food, he used only what he's growing in this garden. So you have palm trees again, but also fruits and veggies. These are the ingredients that they are using in their food. This is why they call it ecology. We had very good conversations. They're very aware about the climate, about pollution, and they try to make a change with their space. And also they are having a couple of rooms. So if you don't want to stay in Agdas, you can also stay there for a quiet night. Because on the opposite of this place, you have one of the oldest kasbahs, like this part of town that looks like a castle made of mud that you can visit there.
And that'd be the Kasbah Azul.
Exactly, Kasbah Azul. And Azul means hello in the language of the Berber or Amazigh people.
Okay.
So this is just welcome. Azul, hello, welcome. One of the words that I recommend also to learn when you visit Morocco. It can open many doors.
Interesting.
If you still have time, you don't want to stay in Ouarzazate Otman, you can continue further, drive down to Zagora. And in Zagora, we found 2 places that I would love to recommend you for food. I like this place because it was fairly inexpensive. They had vegetarian options. They were very friendly. The place is called Restaurant Chez Omar.
Okay.
There is definitely a snack. It's not a culinary explosion, but you can get tagine, you can get very good pizza, very good pasta, and local soups. There are also great meal dishes. So I talk with travelers who were eating there, and everybody was just super happy.
Okay.
It was a great place. And otherwise, and this is my favorite place in Zagora, there is it's like a library, and it's also again hidden. I'm not.
You're talking about the historic library of Zagora.
No, the historic library is a little bit further. It's like a private place.
I feel like I went here. The Tamagrut Library and Quranic Learning Center.
No, this is also a great place to visit. But this is called Café Littéraire. I can send you the place because from outside, again, we passed this restaurant many times. I'm like, should I stay there or not? What's there? But then in the last travels, I was so hungry. I said, hey, let's go there. This guy have open. From outside, it looks average. But if you go inside, it's an absolutely beautiful place. It have a wonderful garden inside, like a small garden, a nice place. It's very pretty chill. You have books there. You have paintings there from local artists. And the food was actually great. I had the Berber omelette, which was vegetarian, huge portion for a small price. Fresh orange juice. Of course, this is the number one thing in Morocco, fresh orange juice. Great tea. And it's perfect. If you just go from Ouarzazate straight to Zagora, great place also to just stop by, have a tea, have a coffee, have a small snack.
Got it.
Definitely. And for sleeping options, there is one place where we always stayed with our van, and they have rooms as well. And it's a palm farm. This is a very unique experience to stay there. So from outside, it looks like a palm farm, but you can drive inside. They have showers there. They have small guest rooms that cost maybe $10 per night. Maybe it went up now. That's the thing. They offer food again. They have a great tagine there and very friendly people who are living there. So you are in between the palms having a great time. I think it was called Palmerie.
Okay. And are these date palms?
Exactly. There are the date palms. Hotel Palmerie de Zagora. It was camping, Oasis, Palmier. This is where we stayed. And this is very easy to find. Maybe you remember it when you go to the roundabout with the camel in the middle, like a camel figure.
How does he know there will be a camel in the middle? Yes, okay.
So when you go from there to the left, there you find camping, Oasis Palmier. And there you can stay with your van, or you can rent one of the rooms when you're on a budget. And if you have it a little bit more loose in the pocket and want an incredible experience, you can go to Caspa Sirocco, because this is one of the most beautiful buildings I have ever seen in my life. This is so unique for this area. It's incredible.
And Scirocco, the hot wind off the desert, is what it's named after here.
Exactly.
Or the car. It's possible it's named after the car, but I don't think so.
I think rather with the hot wind.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you have a pool, you have incredible rooms, great service, great food.
One of the things that I found interesting with Morocco is when we did the tour there, we stayed in Majid, a homestay, but we also stayed probably in more former palaces than I've ever stayed in, or kasbahs, which really are a mansion. It would have been owned by a wealthy family. This one looks like it's just a restaurant, a hotel built in that style. Some of the other ones that you have suggested really are staying in an old mansion.
Definitely. This is the magic about it, that you can stay in these old buildings,
right?
But they are renovated from inside and it's super comfortable.
Right.
It's crazy. This is what I just love about Morocco. This makes it so special there.
Excellent. Where to next?
So if you want to stay in Zagora, I would recommend just to stay one night, because it's fairly easy to see everything what's there.
Yeah.
And there are shops.
And are there particular things that you recommend we see in Zagora?
That's the thing. Not really. There is one art gallery.
Okay.
When you enter Zagora, on the left side, you will see like a huge dinosaur and a huge chicken made of metal.
Okay.
But in general, Zagora was always a stop for us to either rest in the palm farm or pass by and go to the desert to our friends.
Okay.
So once you're leaving Zagora, so here is the cross. You can go to the left towards Merzouga, or you can go to the right to Hamid El Rizlan and the cities of Tamgrud. So we were living for a long time in Tagunit, which is before Hamid. Hamid is the last city before the big desert starts.
Right.
And there are the dunes of Shigaga.
Hey, Atlanta. Say hello to Small Business Help from Apple. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. From helping you choose the right devices to setting them up hassle-free, we can help you build your business in no time. Speak to a business expert and get the help you need at no cost whatsoever. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
You say the dunes, I think it was something I didn't know, is the Sahara is not all dunes like we see on TV. And in Morocco, there's one relatively small area of tall dunes like we picture the Sahara, and quite a lot of either just complete barren or acacia trees and scrub or various types of desert in the Sahara in Morocco.
Definitely.
So, yeah, and you say the dunes, it's the one place that that you can get that experience, and it's quite popular for doing a dune camp stay, a desert stay for a night or two.
Exactly. If you want a desert stay, you have to go to Hamid El Rizlan, one of these places. Before Hamid, you will just have stones.
Right.
It will be like a stone desert and mountains. And there is another myth that I would love to clarify, because I got taught at school. During the day, it's very hot in the desert, and at night, it's very cold during the desert. And that's not true, unfortunately, because we went in summer. So I thought, during the day will be hot. I will survive it. Will be maybe 50 degrees. But at night, we can at least calm down. But when you're staying there in summer, we had 50 degrees during the day and 45 at night for 3 weeks. So
Wow.
you don't have a chance to calm down in any way. And it rather moves with the seasons. When we, for example, the December have still very warm days or hot days with colder wind during the day and very cold nights.
And for those of you who are more Fahrenheit thinkers like me, we're talking about 120 degrees, which is very hot. I've never been in heat that hot.
Be happy. We were even working and recording there, and we had to stop our equipment all 10 minutes, like our laptops. And I don't recommend to do it, but we had to stop it, put them into the fridge, wait 5 minutes and go back. Yeah. Yeah, it was a memorable experience. So when you are leaving Zagora for your big destination, there's definitely Tam Grut on the way. And as you said, there is the oldest library that you can visit.
Okay.
Beautiful building. And Tam Grut is known for their pottery. You will see a lot of green pottery. There will be many pottery shops. And if you stop by, they will show you how they are working on it and how they are making all this pottery.
And I loved our stop in Tam Grut.
Did you bought some?
The potters. Yeah, I don't think I bought any of the pottery. I love the pottery there, but I don't think I brought any home.
Oh, yeah. They have big things that you can take with you, but also very small things like a cup or a candle holder. And what you will notice is that it's green pottery, and it turns green thanks to metal that they are putting into the clay. And during the heating process, it's changing the color. I'm not sure which metal they're putting there, but it's truly unique to this region.
Now, I have pictures of pottery from there that's all many bright colors, including green, but yellows and oranges and blues as well.
Yeah. In general, when you are anywhere in Morocco and see green pottery, then it's from this region.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. There are many regional things. So maybe a small shopping guide when we buy something. For example, if I want to buy roses, I know I will go to the rose village where they come from. So we check if we cross the rose village on our route, and then I buy it there because A, it's fresh, you support the locals, and it will be cheaper, way cheaper. So when I wanted to buy pottery, I was waiting for the whole trip until we go to this city to buy it there in Tam Grut.
Okay.
You can take 1 or 2 hours to talk with the people and see how they do the pottery, and then move on via Tagonit. So you cross another mountain. Tagonit, we are always staying there because we have many friends, but in general, you can skip it when you're there just for 7 days or 10 days. There is not much to see. It's more like a smaller city before the real desert starts, like the real desert, how we imagine it with the dunes.
Right.
One place, though, is there that I can highly recommend if you want to stay one day there. And this is Kasba Aitisful. And I have never seen a place like this. It's another palace made of sand. And they have workshops there, for example, painting workshops, drawing workshops with artists who come from the US and organize it there. They organize camel tours, excellent cuisine, wonderful family who is hosting it. And there is live music with our friends from the Bantara tribes. We spent New Year's Eve there, for example, and it was just magnificent. Because you drive further out from the city, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, through the palm farm, and it's just quiet. You have a magnificent view, and this building is really special. Love it there. After Tagonit, you will cross a mountain, and then you will see the real desert. Then you will see the sand, dunes. I would recommend you to go to Emhamid El Rislan. And there are 2 things that I in particular want to recommend you. At first, it's the trip to the Shigaga dunes, the biggest dunes that we talked about, Emhamid Erk Shigaga. It's a 50-kilometer off-road trip, so be prepared for it. I would say when you make this tour, to stay at least 1 or at least 2 days in the dunes to really experience the silence and the magic of the desert. If you don't want to drive so much, because off-road it can be very exhausting, challenging for some people, then there is a desert camp Shraika. This is how they are called. And this was from all the desert camps, my favorite camp. Wonderful couple is running it, Agatha and Moore. It's very clean. You have cute tiny houses for a very affordable price to stay there. And you just drive a little bit, like maybe 10, 15, maybe 10 minutes through the desert, into the desert, and then you have already the full experience. You can take walks there. You can walk a couple of dunes. If you want silence, you just walk 5-10 minutes in one direction and hide there. You can make your tea there. There is a kitchen. Excellent cuisine. They know what is vegetarian. This is cool. Very respectful. That's also because Agata is from Poland. So she could teach a little bit what Westerners are used to be treated like, where if this makes sense. In general, this is also an important part that you find the right people when you are making these tours in Morocco. I think this is very important. In general, Moroccans are very friendly. They are specialized in tourism. They have tourists there since the 50s, 60s. Many of them speak English, French, of course, though at the moment I would rather switch to English because of the current situation. There is a little stop with French tourists. They have a little bit enough at the moment. This is the current situation. I hope this will change because we are all people. I can always recommend to learn a few words in Darija. This is the Moroccan accent. It can build a bridge very quick when you just learn salam or salam alaikum to say hi. Yeah, very friendly camp there, very open and very clean. Desert Camp Schreika. This is something that I can recommend. And if you have the chance, there are 2 festivals that are very special. Twice per year, you have the Nomad Fest, where you get local bands and nomadic bands, and currently very in style Sahara rock and Sahara blues, which is magnificent. And where we have been last year was the Taragalt Festival.
Okay. And where are they? What city?
It's all in M Hamid, but a little bit outside. So there is the M Hamid Center, and then maybe it's 3 kilometers away from the center. So you are really in the dunes where they built a big stage for 3 days, invite bands from Algeria, from Morocco. Tina Riwen was playing there also. Last year, our dear friends were playing there. There is always a collaboration with Western musicians and Moroccan musicians once per year. It's truly magnificent, especially when the moon is coming. You have such a big moon there and the most beautiful sky in the world. I heard even in M Hamid El Rislan is one of the places where you can see the whole Milky Way.
I could believe that, sure.
Yeah, this is, I even have goosebumps when I just think about it. So there are scientists from NASA very often to just observe the sky and see what's happening. And another nice visit can be the Playing for Change music school. So people build a music school there that you can visit, can just see, maybe you can catch a few nice rhythms and local artists there. Tip for M Hamid El Rislan, if you don't want to sleep in a desert camp, there is also Dar M Hamid. And I'm on repeat here, excellent cuisine, excellent rooms, magnificent from inside. They are truly artists. Alone when you see the door, maybe you Googled it, Dar M Hamid is D-A-R M Hamid. It's just such a high artistry. The rooms are really made for living. It's the opposite of IKEA, everything white and gray and black. Everything have a soul there, and this is what I really like. From the lamps to the walls, it's a very magnificent place. And I think this is everything that I can recommend you for a day trip. And now it's up to you, to the listener, to build a puzzle where they want to stay. Either they stay in Otman for a night on the way back, or in Kaspar Aitisful on the way back. This would be a full trip with so many impressions. I think adding more to it would be just it would be too much. What do you think?
I think that would be a wonderful trip. I can highly recommend the places that I've seen there, and obviously you named some places I haven't. So an area I would love to get back to.
Happy to hear that. To hear that. If you have any questions, I'm often connecting people also locally. You can just reach out to me via Instagram, and I'm more than happy to help.
The one thing I would say, if you are interested, you can go back to the old episode we did on Southern Morocco, and we did a slightly different, instead of just there and then back to Marrakesh, we moved a little faster. So we didn't do as many days along the way. And then we did a loop to the west to Taradant through Agadir and then up and spent 2 nights in Essaouira, which is my other favorite city in Morocco of the ones I've seen. Of course, next week I'm going to have 3 or 4 new favorite cities in Morocco, but you know how that goes. But
Absolutely. I love Essaouira. We spent a lot of time there.
beautiful, beautiful Portuguese built walled city right on the coast.
Oh.
In terms of, before we get to some of our wrap-up questions, do you have any other tips for Morocco in general for preparing for a trip to this region?
Yeah. Always smile. A smile can open you the doors. And I want to say it in a respectful way. This is something I learned. People can scan your face very quickly in a positive way. They see if you're friendly, and a smile is always a door opener. It can bring you far. Just smile and learn a few words. Salam, salam alaikum, labas. Labas means how are you? And this gives a smile back and can build bridges very quick. And this can help you. For example, this can lead that you will eat with the local family, which is already a unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely have fun. Enjoy also the silence of the desert. For all the people who do van life or are in a van, please take your garbage with you.
Sure, yeah.
Definitely very important.
Yeah.
And what else? Maybe shopping wise, bargaining is part of the culture.
Right. I had a guide once, I think it was a guide in Egypt, say that if they're smiling when you leave, then you could have got a cheaper price. But I have found that I don't always bargain that way. I was in Essaouira, and I think they offered me a real leather belt for $10, and I just said yes. And the look on his face was a little disappointed, but it's $10.
Exactly. And this is what I wanted to say. Even when bargaining is common, sometimes it's like with this belt, paying $10, it might help them. Even when you paid maybe $2 or $3 to more.
I was
locals.
more than pleased with the price I got, and $2 more wouldn't have made a difference to me and might make a difference to them. Yeah,
Definitely. Big tip for bargaining: don't take it personally, because it's just part of shopping. And I see it always that way, that everything that I touch, that I ever bought in Morocco, I have a story to it. It's not like going to a Carrefour or to one of the supermarkets. Like, I see it. I have also one of those belts. I think I bought 3.
I bought 2, so I understand.
They're just beautiful. And always when I'm holding it in my hand, I'm like, Jamal, this was a good time. And we had a tea together. And take it slow. Like when somebody invites you for a tea, sit down for a tea. You can always say no. And just the questions that I get from people, as a tourist, you're safe there. And there is, for example, in Marrakesh, there is always a lot of undercover police that is checking that the tourists are safe. Usually, you are safe in these regions. People are very welcoming. So when they invite you for a tea, take your time, sit down, learn a little bit about them. Because the thing is also, Moroccans, they don't have it so easy to travel to see, for example, Europe.
Right.
So when we are coming there as interested travelers, also in their story, this is the exchange they can have to learn more about our culture as well. And this is the beauty, to take a little bit of time and talk.
As we get to some of our wrap-up questions, you're standing in the prettiest spot that you have seen in southern Morocco. Where are you standing and what are you looking at?
Prettiest spot in southern Morocco. We made a music video. I think it was the biggest on our channel. It had 600,000 views, and they just took us somewhere in the mountains where we were dancing, and this was the prettiest spot I have ever seen. It's just from Ait Ben Haidou, 20 kilometers further up, and it's
further north.
Yeah, further north. So not the direction Ouarzazate, but the other direction. And this is a spot where 2 rivers meet in the middle. Plus, you have a view of the villages, and for me, this was magnificent. But this is from a nature perspective. For something that is also easier to see, definitely Ait Ben Haidou, when you go up to the top to the castle. It's mind-blowing.
Excellent. One thing that makes you laugh and say only in Morocco.
The philosophy. You will get a lot of people who will give you a lot of wisdom. And one of the wisdoms was we met a nomad.
Yep.
And he was driving around with his motorcycle and just had a tiny tent and a sleeping bag. And we asked him, don't you want a house one day? And he was briefing, sitting in front, putting some tea, thinking. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, until he have the right answer. And then he looked at us and said, at first you think you want house, but then house wants you. So you will get a lot of wisdom drops like this. And this is only in Morocco.
One of the most memorable experiences, and I told this story on the old show we did on Morocco, but we were out in the Sahara, so not the dunes part, but then driving up to go to that rest of that loop part that I talked about, and came across an older couple with their grandkids who were out in a very makeshift tent, not something they purchased at REI, but was pieced together from different pieces of cloth and bags and things like that. And we stopped to talk to them, and our guide asked if we could converse with them through him. They were Berber and he was Berber, so he could speak with them. And he told them we were from America, and the look on the woman's face was just completely blank. Did not heard of it, did not know what we were talking about. And he said, it's the other side of the ocean. And she got this knowing look and said, yes, I've heard of the ocean.
Wow.
And it's the most off the beaten path that I think I've ever been, is when you're someplace where people hadn't even heard of my country and knew that there was an ocean out there somewhere, but certainly had never seen it. And we're maybe 100 miles from it, but it was just a different world to her.
Wow.
So fascinating experience.
This is so fascinating. Yeah.
If you had to summarize Southern Morocco in just 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
Beautiful, friendly, delicious.
Excellent. Excellent. And our guest again has been Addie from hittheroadmusicstudio.com. And if you send me that link to that music video that you shot in that beautiful spot, we'll put that in the show notes so that people can more easily find some of your work.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you so much. And there are also the subtitles, so you can have them in English, Polish, and German, so you understand
Excellent.
what they're singing about. Thank you so much, my friend.
Addie, thanks so much for coming on Amateur Traveler and sharing with us your obvious love for Southern Morocco.
Thank you.
Thanks go out to the patrons of the show who help support Amateur Traveler financially. The patrons have a chance this week to have the first shot at who can go to the Amateur Traveler trip to Cuba in 2025. By the time you hear this, they will have had a week ahead of time to book for that trip, and 6 people have from that group so far. I suspect by the time this comes out, that trip will be full. So just be aware of that if you're interested in trips in the future. If you're interested in becoming a patron of the show, go to patreon.com/amateurtraveler to learn more. I heard from someone, and I didn't keep track of this, where I heard from Barry here. I heard from Barry on Facebook in response, and I don't remember where I found that response, but he was talking about a particular and Barry said I went to Norway a few weeks ago and had some of your Norway podcasts downloaded. I needed to reference one of the Oslo podcasts on the spot for a recommendation on a place to visit that I had forgotten before I left on my trip. Barry. And thanks so much, Barry. I have downloaded the shows myself and been walking around. I remember Oaxaca, Mexico, for instance, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I understand where you're coming from there. I also had a review of the show from D. Kelly21 saying, I love this dad vibe podcast that offers great tidbits in a detailed and consistent format. Amateur Traveler is my first stop on a long quest when I begin my next trip research. Chris and his guests whet my appetite for the destination and give me good jumping off points. A big picture to wrap. Whoops. a big picture to wrap my head around, and some specific places or unique things to get excited about. From there, I go to blogs, Google, and more to dig deeper, but I appreciate that this is an approachable place to begin without feeling overwhelmed. The last few parts of the episode are some of my favorites because they make me reminisce about my own trips and what I would also list as my number one thing, and how I would describe the place in 3 words, etc. The wrap-up is concise and memorable and a great way to end the show. Thanks, Chris. Well, thanks so much, Dee. And with that, we're going to wrap up the show. With that, we're going to end this episode of The Amateur Traveler. If you have any questions, send an email to host@amateurtraveler.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at amateurtraveler.com. And thanks so much for listening.